AI will never be able to attach communication to emotions second by second. They won't be able to process the emotions, and it won't be able to create the emotions. So we have to hold on to the things that makes us human. And this is so evident, and science is proving this more and more. We are listening to sounds that are changing the way our brain functions. It's time that we started making the sounds, the healing sounds that change the way our brains work, change the tension level, change the optimization, change the stress level, change the get up and go, activate, step it up level. So we have to make sounds. We're our own sound healing machines.
Roger Love is the world's leading voice coach behind the success of stars like Bradley Cooper, Reese Witherspoon, and Selena Gomez.
Roger Love, this incredible vocal coach. I worked with him 5 days a week for months, yeah.
A world-renowned voice coach who's helped shape countless careers.
He's transformed the way Hollywood sings and speaks, proving that the right voice can change everything.
You say to me, I have a headache, Roger, and I say, go, ee, and do that 3 times and your headache goes away. Here's the test for tone deafness for anyone that is listening.
You're listening to The Human Upgrade with Dave Asprey.
I want you to listen to this episode without speeding it up. And when you get about halfway through, you're going to hear exactly why. Because you will learn things from Roger if you listen to this just at normal speed, even if that feels painful for you. Just trust me, do that, and you'll thank me at the end. Aren't you just born with your voice?
People think that they're born with a voice, but you're born with an instrument. And you have to learn how to play it like any other instrument. So most people have no idea what to do with it. So they imitate the people that are around them. So if your mother speaks very, very airy and you really, really want breast milk, then you say, Mommy, hungry, as soon as she could speak. And if your dad talks like this and you want to go fishing and you speak to your dad, Daddy, fishing. So you imitate the voices that you grew up with, and suddenly you're a young adult or an adult and you think that's your voice, but it's just all the people you've imitated. And so I come in and I say, here's the instrument, here's what's possible. You could have a completely different voice than what you were born with.
So there's singing and then there's speaking. And what's going on inside your body when you do each of those?
Most people think singing and speaking is completely different. But basically, you have control over pitch, pace, tone, melody, and volume when you sing or you speak. And the vocal cords are pretty much doing the same thing. Air in, into the lungs, air out of the lungs, going through the vocal cords, coming out of your mouth. I say the problem is that people think it's 2 different things, but singing and speaking is almost exactly the same thing. And there's so much scientific evidence about what music does to the listener's brain. And my whole thing is about taking everything that is musical about music and putting it into the speaking voice so that when you're speaking to someone, they think you're speaking their favorite song and you move them emotionally.
I did learn that when you were coaching me, and I went in and I've read all of my audiobooks since you trained me. And I do hear feedback, people saying, I really like listening to that. It's different. And one of the most important things that I learned from you was what to do with my stomach when I'm speaking. What should people do with their stomach when they're speaking?
People are so obsessed with having their stomachs not stick out and look overweight that they forget to realize that diaphragmatic breathing, the best way to make sound is it's necessary to allow your stomach to come a little bit forward. So you're supposed to inhale through your nose because there's filters in the nose called turbinates. And again, you're thinking of, well, the filters stop bad things from going into your system. But the reason I'm interested in those filters is because when you breathe in through your nose, it becomes moist air.
Right.
So then when it goes to your throat, you end up being able to speak or sing for hours and hours and hours because your cords are hydrated. So you breathe in through your nose. You just let your stomach come forward a tiny bit. That's enough. And then here's the big thing. You're only supposed to speak or sing while your stomach is coming in. It's why an accordion goes out and then an accordion goes in. So unless your stomach is coming in while you're speaking, you're holding your breath. Watch this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 1, 3, 4, 5. People are talking like this all the time because they're not letting their stomachs come forward and then paying attention. I'm only supposed to speak while my stomach is coming in.
So the people are talking like that, their stomach's in all the time, so it's coming from their upper chest, right?
It's little tiny bits of air are managing to escape from the lungs instead of you just controlling the way that air comes to the vocal cords out of the lungs. Air wants to get out of your body. When you try to hold it in, there's poison components in air. So air desperately wants to come out. Your job is to relax your stomach and let your stomach come in the whole time you're speaking. That's the only way to have a beautiful voice.
Okay, here's something that I never understood. Okay, I'm just going to show off my stomach here. Okay, so you can fill up your stomach. Like, that's going to be too full because that would look stupid, right?
Yeah, but not just look stupid. There's no reason to fill up your stomach that much. People are trying to take these giant breaths, but there's already air in your lungs.
Okay.
48 hours after you're passed and you're dead, there's still 25% air in your lungs.
So this is just more like it's squeezing, but it's squeezing the air up here. The squeeze is coming from down here.
You're not supposed to squeeze. You're supposed to. You don't mind if I don't show my stomach.
Yeah, no, but here's my question though. Okay, so so my stomach's full, and now I'm going to start talking. I'm going to start talking some more. I'm going to start talking some more. But I'm capable of bringing my stomach in like a really far distance like that. And I'm like, how far in does the stomach go before you're like, ah?
You're not supposed to let your stomach go too far out.
Right.
Because you don't need that much air. You're going to take a breath in seconds.
Okay.
And then you're not supposed to pull your stomach in at all. You're very good at pulling your stomach in.
But I want to finish my sentence. If I can just pull my stomach in even more, my stomach will keep going in while I keep talking and talking and talking. But
when you pull it in, you're doing the equivalent of holding your breath because you're still tightening the muscles. And that's stopping free flow of air.
So you want to relax the whole time, don't move in.
You don't want to tighten at all in your stomach.
I wish I knew that all these books are going to.
Check this out. And if you're listening to this, put your hands on your tummy. Okay? Take a breath. And then just go like this. Stop trying to pull your stomach in. Let the air come out based on this. You see how slowly your stomach comes in?
Yeah.
That's what's supposed to happen.
Oh, no. I've been doing it wrong. What kind of a coach are you, Roger? I'm just kidding. So I probably have been pulling it in too forcefully then.
Yeah. When you
when
I've been pulling it in too, pulling it in was the end of the sentence. You're not supposed to pull it in. The air will escape on its own.
So you're relaxing the air in.
Exactly.
All right.
People are creating all kinds of tension that they don't need. Tension here, makes tension here, makes tension here. Suddenly you're a tense person.
Why don't people look at breathing and speech or singing as core neurological skills?
They should, of course. Mm-hmm. But what they don't understand is most people are not even doing diaphragmatic breathing. They're breathing in through their mouths. They're drying out their throats. Their stomachs are not moving out and in, so that the facility of even breathing correctly seems to be elusive to a lot of people. But breathing is so simple. You breathe in through your nose, you keep your lips closed, your stomach comes forward. And then the reason that people haven't also equated how important breath is to speech is because most people don't speak with any breath coming out. One of the most prevalent sounds is what I call the squeaky hinge, like you just bought a door and you don't have any WD-40 on it, and every time the door opens, squeak, squeak. So people are talking like this. I can't even watch reality television anymore because everyone talks like this. There's no air coming out of most people's voices anymore. So they've lost this idea of singing is a solid stream of air. But when you talk, you're just sending these little tiny bursts of air. So people have lost the ability to use breathing perfectly for speaking. They understand solid air flow when you sing, but they do sputter air when you speak. And that's what they need to fix. If everybody was thinking solid air coming out of my mouth and the words riding out on that air, then speaking and singing would be the same thing. Then breathing for speaking and singing would be the same thing. And it would be healthy because it's air in, no pressure, solid air out.
What does having vocal training do for your attractiveness?
Wow. Well, it makes you sound more attractive to others.
Oh, no, not that.
Because people judge you based on the way that they hear you. There's tons of evidence that suggests that if I speak down low in my chest voice, that I'm suddenly more attractive to certain members of the opposite sex and same sex. There's frequencies in the voice, in the middle part of the voice and the high voice that make me sound more emotional, make me sound more joyful, make me sound happier. People are attracted to happy people. When you're speaking correctly, your voice sounds healthy, and people hear that and feel your health and strength. So how you sound is very much how people decide you're attractive. And how you sound and you hear yourself, you feel more powerful, you feel more attractive, you feel happier, more joyful, more grateful. So you're listening to yourself speak, you're making yourself happier or depressed based on your own sounds, and more or less attractive.
Wow.
If I just sound like this, I'm not really the star of my own life movie. I've got a nasal voice. I don't sound attractive to myself. I don't want to kiss myself on the mouth.
But if I sound like this, where there's melody, I sound happy, I sound confident, suddenly I hear it, I feel it, I'm very attracted to myself by listening to an attractive voice.
What do you say to people who say, well, this is my voice, people should just deal with it?
Those people are trapped in their own reality. And I tell them that their voice is not for them. Your voice is a gift that you're supposed to learn how to use and package, not just old newspaper, package with a bow, and you're supposed to give it away.
Wow.
And then you're supposed to decide if it's a great voice, if people liked the gift. It's for them. If your voice was for you, your ears wouldn't be here, and your mouth sends the sound over there. So I'm gifting my voice to you. So you're more important. Your opinion of my voice is infinitely more important than my opinion.
Whoa.
Did you like the gift?
I think you just triggered a lot of people there, which means I definitely like the gift because triggering people is my love language. So that was good. But those words, your voice is not for you, is so profound. Roger, that's one of the coolest things I've ever heard on the show.
That's why you have an inner voice. Silence. Unfortunately, people have crappy, miserable inner voices that sound like crap and tell them negative things. And then they unfortunately open up their mouths and their inner voice came out.
And it
said
sounds
it
like
and
that.
spoke to
Right.
you. People
Wow.
speak with the inner voice. That's silent.
Wow.
The outer voice is the gift.
I love this. There are a lot of people, maybe even including me, when I got started on stages many, many, many years ago in the world of tech, who hate the sound of their own voice. Like they don't even want to hear a recording. Like, ew. Why do we cringe at the sound of our own voice?
We don't know what we sound like by listening to ourselves, because what we're listening to is bone conduction inside our heads. When I speak, the sound is first trapped in my head and it vibrates my skull. And the vibration makes me think that I'm big and strong and powerful, and my testosterone levels must be much higher than yours. But those are sounds that I feel and hear inside. But when I speak, you don't hear all of the bone conduction, the bone vibration that I hear inside. So we don't know what we sound like unless we record ourselves and we listen back. And that's where people hate themselves and hate their voice, because now they're listening back, but they're not feeling all of the vibration that they did when they made the sound.
It doesn't sound like me when it's played back, because when I'm speaking, I'm hearing the inner resonance versus just the outer resonance. Okay.
100%.
That makes a lot of sense.
And you're judging your voice based on what it feels like inside. And you don't really know what it sounds like until you listen back.
That's cool. I was just on stage this weekend at Texans for Medical Freedom. They just had 10 bills passed around your right to choose your own healthcare versus someone else choosing for you, which kind of is important to biohackers, so we can extend our lives in the way we choose. And Del Bigtree got on stage, who's a friend. Do you know Del's work?
I don't.
He runs iWire, or I think something like that. Anyway, big media person, and his dad was a preacher. So he gets on stage, and I come up, I kind of talk like this, and I had, people laughing, I'm telling jokes and whatever. But he comes on stage, and he's like, we are charged up. And I have no idea what the heck he does every time, but it's like delivering a sermon, and, the people are jumping up and down and throwing money almost. But how do people do that preacher thing where they're thundering in the room and they're doing that? What's going on in there?
Well, there are preachers that are some of the greatest orators, voices in history. And the idea is they're using their voice to save the souls of every member of their congregation. So there's a lot at stake. And it's very dramatic.
Yeah.
And there's all different styles of, preaching. But those voices are really honed. They are instruments. When a great preacher speaks, it's the same as the choir singing in the church. Their voice is full of melody and full of sustain and range. They don't just stay in one place. They're all over all over the keyboard. So this whole idea of the greatest voices are the most musical. The most musical, great voices, a lot of them are preachers and pastors. I've had the great opportunity of working with some incredible ones. A friend of mine, a student right now, is named Stephen Furtick. He's incredibly amazing vocal, emotional speaker. His church is called Elevation Worship. And he's one of these people where millions and millions of people listen to and watch the videos of his sermons. He's a great example of someone who uses their voice to move millions of people in faith through the emotions they need to get closer to themselves and to God.
Wow. Okay. So voice can be a really powerful tool for good.
Yeah.
It's really funny when you look at these super pro athletes, and the Bryant brothers have been on, and the weird stuff that happens between when we think and when we act. There's some kind of a native thing they do that just turns that off. It feels to me like great orators are doing the same thing. They're not sitting there going, okay, my stomach is out where it needs to be and I'm slowly bringing it in. They're just in flow. How do people learn how to be in flow when they speak and still have all the right intonations and all that?
What we learn from an athlete or a great speaker is that they put the work in ahead of time.
Okay.
So nobody works harder than a professional athlete at that level to learn all the techniques, all of the skill sets, to hone the body, to do everything the body could possibly do that is necessary to perform their expertise at that sport. And great speakers need to do the same thing. That's why I'm a technique teacher. I train the instrument so that the instrument will be in perfect condition so that you don't have to worry about what's happening in your voice. You just have to feel and teach from a place of emotion and the things that you know. And you know that the brain can be consciously competent on multiple things at the same time. And people are trying so hard to be unconsciously competent at everything. And that's where I think that they're missing it. You should be consciously competent. And then the body and the brain can do all of those things and think about all those things. That's the job of the brain. And it can still come out effortlessly without question.
Once you develop conscious competence, it's available unconsciously if you just relax.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's my experience.
That's what a great speaker does. That's what a great athlete does. You learn to train your voice, and you only know the things you know. So you can only say the things you know. So it's being consciously competent to the level that it seems unconscious.
I've seen research showing that when people have trained their voice, it changes their posture, it changes even their physical vitality and probably their longevity, to be honest. Does it also improve athletic performance?
Yes. Again, you are breathing more healthy, so you're some would say you're oxygenating your blood more. Okay. In order to get air into the lungs to sound great, you can't round your shoulders over because it blocks the entrance of the air into the lungs. So posture, super important. Your chest has to be.
I feel judged.
But you have pretty good posture. Your chest has to be up, shoulders back and down, so that the rib cage is out of the way, so that air can go right past into the lungs. So all of these things, posture, breathing, how much air you take in, how much air you exhale, all of those things are making you healthier.
When everyone got all this COVID vaccine injuries or straight up COVID injuries of their lungs, did it change the way you hear people talking?
Yeah. People, when they got COVID and the aftermath of COVID, they felt that they couldn't take in as much air. So as I said, as a species, we are already not good at speaking with the right amount of air like we sing. So humans were already not sending enough air out. But then when they realized they couldn't take that much air in, it became more that millions of people started speaking softer and weaker and airier like this, because they didn't feel they could get enough air in to then send enough air out. But also I wanted to say to the last question, the sounds you make really do make you healthy.
Yeah.
Or they don't. And this is so evident, and science is proving this more and more. We're listening to sounds that are changing the way our brain functions. It's time that we started making the sounds, the healing sounds that change the way our brains work, change the tension level, change the optimization, change the stress level, change the get up and go, activate, step it up level. So we have to make sounds. We're our own sound healing machines. And people don't realize that, even though science is telling us that now.
Every year, you gradually lose stem cells. Those are the cells that fix damage and basically keep you young. And every year, the stem cells you have don't work as fast or as well. And it's why injuries stick around forever, why your energy dips, and why, if you're aging, you really feel it. Science shows that you start to decline earlier than you think. In fact, at some point in your 30s, you've lost nearly 90% of your stem cells. StemRegen changes it. It triggers your body to release 10 million of your own stem cells every time you take it. And StemRegen also improves blood flow, so the stem cells can get to where your body actually needs them, places like muscles, joints, or organs. And that means healing faster, recovering better, and it means your body feels younger for a lot longer. You want to stay young and sharp for years? Add StemRegen to your routine. Go to stemregen.co/Dave25 and use code Dave25 and they'll give you 25% off your order.
The definition of biohacking, when I first wrote it, was the art and science of changing the environment around you and inside of you so you have control of your biology or of your state. And the vibrational or sound environment around you and inside of you is a direct way of communicating with your mitochondria and with your subcellular components. They are vibration sensitive because they're ancient bacteria that are all vibration sensitive. So there's all these unseen levels of communication, whether it's another voice or your voice. We've had Stephen Porges on the show, who's the father of polyvagal theory, who learned certain female vocal ranges radically change the state of people's nervous systems for deep healing. And strangely, not for male voices. We don't really know why. So there's all this almost invisible to our conscious mind thing that's happening. And you've made this incredible study of going deep on how do you make it so that you're communicating with others, but maybe also with yourself.
You're listening to the sounds you make. It's all about vibration and frequency and hertz. Very soon, you say to me, I have a headache, Roger. And I say, go, ee, and do that 3 times and your headache goes away.
Wow.
That we will be able to control function with sound.
Okay. I love that. So healing sounds. Now, this is a question that I've wanted to ask for a long time. Okay, I always, for some reason, find the most esoteric, weird studies that people aren't talking about. And I'm just barely old enough by calendar age, if people still use that. It's kind of like the 8-track way of measuring your age. But When we cut over from vinyl or tape, which are analog signals, into digital signal processing. So if you're someone who's only listened to CDs or streaming music, you've only heard digital music unless you've gone to a live show. And even most live shows now have digital stuff in line before you hear it. Mm-hmm. And I read a paper by someone, so I must have been in my early 30s or late 20s or something. And it was a paper by someone who was 70. I wish I could remember his name. It was a while ago. And he said, look, if you're listening to digital music, it's like 1,000 tiny ice cubes hitting your ears. But if you listen to an analog signal, it's like a wave of water hitting you, because analog music at its core, it's not a bunch of little digital signals like stair steps. It's truly a smooth curve. And this is a voice, the way that you and I are hearing each other now. That's a real sound. But what everyone's hearing on the show has been compressed and re-expanded and sent across the internet, and it is all digital. How bad is digital signal processing for communication?
First of all, I'm so happy that you know all that. I mean, there are still record producers who must have some analog processing on it.
Yeah.
So they might record digitally, but then eventually it goes into analog machines, onto tape, and to try to simulate some of that analog. Yeah. There are musicians who won't listen. They won't listen to MP3s because it's if music is your religion and you listen to an MP3, you're not talking to God.
I feel the difference with analog and digital in my nervous system, yeah.
When I have people record, speaking or singing, when I have my singers record in the studio and when I have my speakers record, I tell them that the only thing that's true sound is the sound that comes out from here and gets to here right before it goes into the mic. Mm-hmm. And that's why I don't let them wear two headphones. One headphone off.
Wow.
I focus my speakers and singers on creating only the sound in the room, no matter where it's going. And that's the only real sound. That it's not true once it goes into the mic and comes back through the wires into my headphones. It's got processing that has changed the sound. So real sound is what happens between here and the mic. Real sound is what happens between my mouth and your ears. And every time it gets processed, it is downgraded.
Wow. So we could be actually weakening humanity with our digital signal processing.
Because we put pretty things on top of the weak. We add reverb. We have machines. People don't have to learn how to be loud when they want to be loud and soft when they're soft. We have machines that equalize the signal so it doesn't get too soft or too loud. We have things that add bass to the voice and treble so that EQ it differently. So all of that electronic stuff was created to make up for the fact that we're not just listening to somebody speak or sing in a room.
Roger, you're making me sad. So padded shoes have ruined human feet and legs.
Yeah, because of the
padding.
Have made the bottom of your soles less resilient.
Right. And now you're saying that all of the things that we're doing on the show right now, so it sounds even better than it does in person, we think, are the equivalent of padded shoes that take away our natural native ability?
Yes and no. I'm saying that when you have the opportunity to actually have conversations with people, mouth to ears to mouth, that's real, and that's real connection.
Right.
And that humankind needs to hold on to that before it just gives up the whole idea that human voice is not the voice of our future, but that AI voice is the voice of our future.
And AI voice will always be digital. Right. That's intriguing.
So the idea is that communication is human-based because we attach the communication to emotions. AI will never be able to attach communication to emotions second by second. They won't be able to process the emotions, and it won't be able to create the emotions. So we have to hold on to the things that makes us human. Years ago, when I saw bad human communicators teaching machines how to sound, I realized we were in trouble because humans are not great communicators. They've lost a lot of their ability to communicate emotionally. And then they're unemotionally teaching machines how to speak unemotionally. And where are we left? If you want to be AI proof, become the greatest communicator that you can be, the most authentic, the most connected to your own emotions and the emotions of other people. And AI will never be able to replace any of that.
So finding your voice makes you AI proof.
Exactly.
How do you find your voice?
You find your voice by training it as an instrument. You find your voice by finding the melodies and the volume changes. You find your voice by bouncing it off of other people and trying to move them emotionally with your voice. You find your voice by listening to other people's sounds and deciding what moves you emotionally and separating the emotional sounds from the non-emotional ones. We learn by becoming musical again, emotional again, putting all of that in our voice. That's what makes us AI proof.
That is so profound. I'm going to play this episode for my kids. I think it's got something in there for them. So thank you.
Thank you.
How do you move between sounding powerful and sounding forced?
Volume gets a bad rep.
Okay.
So sounding forced is so attached to volume. So people don't want to sound like they're mansplaining or womansplaining or powering their way through conversations. And people are worried that if they spoke loudly, that they would sound angry. And God knows there's enough anger sounds in the world. So anger's gotten a bad rep. But so volume's gotten a bad rep. Okay. Now, what's the component of volume? What's the component of anger? Not just loud volume. The sound component of anger is loud volume, fast-paced, and monotone. So, of course, I'm louder when I'm angry. But I also don't have time for melody because I've been holding all this stuff inside of me and I got to get it out right now while we're still doing the interview. And so I get faster and I don't have time for melody and I have to speak really fast. So unless you are speaking loud, super fast, and no melody, you don't sound angry. So I convince people to speak louder. That's how you sound powerful. That's how you're not bullying anyone, but you have to mix in a lot of melody.
Wow.
And you have to not go fast or loud sounds angry. But if loud has melody and controlled pace, you just sound strong and powerful and beautiful.
Another thing I wanted to ask you about, because yes, you're a vocal coach, but you also know a lot about auditory processing, which is just an incredibly interesting field to me. When I listen to Audible books, I put them at about 1.6 to 2 speed. Even if they're pretty complex, I taught my brain how to do that on purpose because then I can absorb twice as much info. But I didn't let my kids do that. Because when they were young, I'm thinking if they listen to books at 2x speed, they're going to start talking at 2x speed, and it's going to be probably neurologically destructive. How bad is it to listen to audiobooks or podcasts at double the speed?
Okay. It's only bad on one level.
Okay.
I don't let anything that I record be sped up.
How do you stop it?
I control the player. Anything I put out, I control the player. They can choose.
But I mean, this is going to get played at 2x speed by some people.
Then on the things I put out, I try to control it with the player, and I try to keep it at 100% speed. The issue is that when I listen and when anyone listens to something sped up, they have a good reason. You only have so many hours in the day. You have 24 meetings. You want to get the content, and your brain works fast. But there is no way for me to listen or anyone to listen to sped up conversation and feel emotionally as connected to it. Because the voice itself doesn't sound as authentic, sped up. The pitch changes and the speed changes, and it makes me less connected to the person that is speaking.
Wow.
So I of course have limited time just like you. I might have had 12 meetings instead of 24 like you have, but there's only so many hours in the day.
Right.
And I want to learn the content. But I feel like I resist the content if the person is reading it, if I've altered their voice in a way that makes them sound less than honest and less than real. So it bugs me to listen to it sped up. Everyone sounds like Mickey Mouse, and it's fine if I want to watch and listen to Mickey Mouse. But if that person is speaking, I want to try to hear that person in the wild, in nature, in authenticity. So it's a tool for expedience, but it's not a tool for emotional connection to hearing the words and the sounds.
Okay. How many of us listen to music at 2x speed? That would be dumb, right?
Dumb.
Yeah.
And again, you've come to the medium to say, I just want the content.
Right.
You don't really care about the person who's reading it. Might be the author, might just be some voiceover artist. So you don't really care about that person.
Right.
So you're only getting it for content. But then, isn't it possible that if you were emotionally receiving it, that you might process that content faster than the way you think you speak and the way you process? Because remember, the brain processes spoken conversation first for emotion and then for logic. So you actually are trying to trick your brain when you just think, I'm only getting this for the logic side. I'm only listening to content.
I might be removing some of the emotion by speeding it up.
You're 100% removing the emotion, and your brain is processing it, but it doesn't mean that you haven't rewired your brain enough to process first for logic and then emotion. It's just bypassing some of it.
You can't. One of the things that our brains do that's entirely invisible to us is that every memory you have, every memory of a word, of a number, of an experience, is accessed by emotion. So the way we look things up in our internal database is all about emotion. So if you learn something with emotion, it's in there. And if you learn something with just logic, it probably won't last as long. And that's real.
Why do you think people learned ABCs by attaching it to a song?
And that's
why do you think that stayed with everyone?
And that's why drunk people always sing during the sobriety test, right?
Do you know if you ask someone to say the alphabet, they chunk and not sing it. They say A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z.
It's rhythmic.
Because that was the rhythm of the song that they learned it.
Wow.
You
That's
can't
so cool.
separate the emotion from music. And if humans continue to keep separating emotion from sound, we won't be any better than AI.
Ooh, that's a big statement. Why do people get chills when they hear a beautiful voice, but not AI?
People get chills because of the frequencies and the hertz, and that your body reacts to certain sounds. There are singers that can break glass because sound waves can shatter substances at certain hertz and frequencies and volumes. So the first time I went and heard Pavarotti sing, I couldn't stop the goosebumps on my arms when he would hit the high notes. Speaking and singing is a physical connection.
Right.
When I speak or sing to you, air travels out of my mouth and it vibrates your body if you're doing it properly. So then once that sound vibrates your body, it's a physical connection. People are speaking incorrectly and they're not sending enough air or sound that it's vibrating anyone's body. But when you're vibrating someone's body, or you're in the audience and that singer is vibrating your body, it's a physical reaction.
Wow.
It's not oral.
I'm guessing you haven't had a chance to listen to or read Heavily Meditated, my newest book.
Not yet.
Okay. It's one that you at least want to skim at 2x speed. I'm kidding. Because I talk about auditory processing in the book, and it's so relevant to what you just said. And when I make a sound with my voice, and then you hear it, you perceive that my lips moved, the sound took a second to get there, or some amount of time, and you heard it. But if we're measuring your auditory processing systems in the brain with electrodes, your body holds on to the signal for about a third of a second, 350 milliseconds. It's called evoked potential in neuroscience. And that is where I believe the chill comes from. This is the body, not the mind, the body pre-processing reality to tell you what emotion to feel about it.
I love that. And by the way, this is also how the body works. When you make sound and it vibrates my body, I'm not 100% sure that I didn't make that sound, because I hear it and feel it.
Wow.
So once sound is in the room, it's a collective. It's like sympathetic vibrations.
Incredible.
So actually your sound, once it vibrates my body, part of my brain thinks, did I make that sound? Because I hear it and I feel it, whether you say it or I say it. We're shared in this vibration more than you think.
That is so cool. It's one of the reasons that if you ever have a chance to do something like a kirtan, where you go to a yoga class where they have singing, like group singing afterwards, or even just that group om at the end, it does something to your nervous system. I can't exactly say what, but it's a sense of connectedness and peace that's really cool.
Yes, there are studies that talk about that if you go and sing at a choir, that for 24 hours or so many, hours and days, you're still high from singing with other people. So why shouldn't speaking be that way? Why aren't we in a duo group every time that we're speaking and we're making music that we feel and other people feel?
But no reason. One of the things that I use when I want to get a room to quiet down, I used at the last biohacking conference. We had 4,500 people at this event in Austin. By the way, guys, biohackingconference.com. But I told people, if your phone goes off during this part of it, you have to stand up and sing, I'm a little teacup. Right.
Good choice.
and I'll tell you what happened because it's funny. And the real question though is going to be, why is it so nerve-wracking? Why do people feel so vulnerable when they have to sing versus have to speak? But we'll get to that. Here's what happened. I'm up on stage talking, and I have a continuous glucose monitor on, one of the ones from Abbott, that you can't turn off the freaking alerts on it. And it said my blood sugar dropped. It didn't. It was a signal error. So I get the emergency alert. You can have it. Guys, I don't have diabetes. I just want to know what my blood sugar was. Anyway, different issue for biohackers. So my phone goes off. I'm like, that wasn't a ring. The audience wasn't having that. So I had to sing I'm a Little Teacup. And then Wired Magazine wrote about it and said Dave sang I'm a Little Teacup. So thanks, Wired. Anyway, so that didn't bother me too much because I've learned to just not, like, I do what I do. And if people don't like it, then they don't like it. And that seems like it must be their problem. But that could have been a traumatizing experience. We'll put it that way. By the way, I did rap I'm a Little Teacup because my singing voice still needs work. But why do people feel so vulnerable when they sing versus when they speak on stage?
First of all, people feel vulnerable when they speak on stage as well. I mean, the number one fear in America is speaking in public.
I don't believe that. If they'd asked speaking or singing, everyone would have said singing was even worse than speaking.
Yeah. But the survey right now says that number one fear is still speaking in public. So why are they more? Think of singing as speaking on steroids, amplified. Your volume is louder. There's more notes. You're held to accountability of whether or not you hit the pitches, where speaking, you can just not hit any pitches and make up bad melodies. It's just speaking times a million on steroids, and it seems more vulnerable.
It does.
And also people, a great percentage of the people believe that they are tone deaf. So when you say, would you sing for me? Most people who are not good singers immediately go to that emotional place where they're like, I'm tone deaf. And if I go to sing, it's going to sound so bad, you're going to hate me and I'm going to hate me.
You actually taught me that I wasn't tone deaf.
Yeah.
I just thought I was.
It's a pretty simple test. Should we teach your listeners?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Because I know there are millions and millions and millions of people who think that they're tone deaf just because they can't get in the car and sing all the notes that Elvis can sing on the radio or anyone else they're listening to. Here's the test for tone deafness for anyone that is listening. I'm going to sing a little bit of Happy Birthday. Okay. And you're going to tell me, I'm not even going to do the whole thing. You're going to tell me, is this the happy birthday that you learned? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Yes or no, the right melody?
I'm pretty sure you got that one wrong.
Okay. It was an interesting one, though. That's
I'll give you that.
More interesting than I normally. So that may catch on. Anyways. But
or not.
If you were tone deaf, that would have sounded like this. Happy birthday to... You wouldn't have heard any of the pitches. You wouldn't have heard me go higher and lower. So less than 2% of the entire world population is tone deaf, and it happens from some damage to the middle ear when you're young or early in life. Nobody is really tone deaf. They're tone lazy. They're tone shy. They haven't learned to play their instrument.
They're tone untrained.
They're tone untrained. Their grandmother gave them a Steinway piano. And when she died, I'm sorry that happened, but they got a Steinway piano and they have to make two choices. Should I move out all of the furniture in my living room and put it there or not? So then they decide to move out all the furniture and put it in the living room. Then they have another decision. Are they going to learn to play it or are they going to use it as a frame holder? The voice could be a Steinway piano and you decide whether you're going to use it as an instrument and use it to change the way people react to you, people to get to know you. Use that to create the brand, your identity, your character, to showcase the best of yourself. It's an instrument, but only if you learn how to play it.
Wow, that is profound. So I love that analogy. And Roger, you work with celebrities, and I had the honor of working with you. But most people listening aren't going to be able to do that. So is there a Cliff Notes to this or a quick and easy way to learn this?
Yes.
Okay.
And I came with a present because I'm interested in giving away what I know, or I wouldn't even do these interviews.
You're a generous guy. Yeah.
And basically you can go to Roger Love, ROGERLOVE, rogerlove.com/Dave. Why not? /Dave.
Easy to remember.
And I'm giving you everyone a $50 gift towards purchasing anything of the programs that that will teach people. So if listening to this has inspired your listeners in any way to realize that voice is the makeover that they need next, that voice is the life change, that voice is the change that's going to get them to the next level, go. And I'll give you $50 towards any of the programs, speaking or singing, as a present. And that's the fastest way.
Thank you. And if you're listening right now, think about getting this for a young person in your life, someone who's going to college, if they're still making that mistake, or someone who's just getting going in their career. Because if you're young, every episode I've recorded actually are things I wish I would have known when I was 20. That would have just saved me millions of dollars and countless suffering. And learning these skills early on in life, it changes the people you spend time with. It changes who you end up dating. It changes your career. It changes everything. And if you're any other age, this stuff keeps you young. It gives you energy. It's really important. I've under-indexed this for years, even compared to something like functional movement or just being fit or respiratory and fitness and all that stuff that I've studied ad nauseum. This is important, and it's a major part of biohacking. So thank you, Roger.
Thank you so much.
See you next time on the Human Upgrade Podcast.